Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the absolutely fascinating psychology behind luxury scarcity, and we're doing it by looking at one of the world's most profitable and, frankly, most stubborn brands out there, Ferrari. It's a brand everyone instantly recognizes, but honestly, very few people actually understand from a business perspective. So let's look at how they leverage human psychology to build an absolute empire. Okay, let's dive right into this paradox by asking a very counterintuitive question. Think about it for a second. Ferrari is a publicly traded company, and every single year, demand for its cars dramatically exceeds supply. You've got wealthy buyers all across the globe ready to drop hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars right on the spot. The waiting lists stretch for months or even years. For literally any other company, the solution is a no-brainer. Build a new factory and cash in. But Ferrari, they routinely walk away from billions. So could refusing to make money actually be the secret to making billions?
Well, normally, Economics 101 says a business wants its supply to perfectly meet demand to maximize revenue. Makes sense, right? But Ferrari operates on a completely different psychological wavelength. Instead of maximizing sales, they operate with this brutal discipline to ensure demand always exceeds supply. To understand how they got the confidence to just break the standard rules of business, we really have to look at how this whole thing started.
Section 1. From Racing to Emotion.
Let's rewind a bit. Born in 1898, Enzo Ferrari never actually wanted to build the world's most exclusive road cars. His true, burning passion was racing. He genuinely believed racing represented the absolute highest form of engineering. So, when he founded Ferrari back in 1939, his goal wasn't creating luxury products for the rich. His goal was simply winning races. The road cars? They existed for one reason and one reason only: to finance the motorsport team. Unlike your traditional automakers, Ferrari never viewed production volume as a measure of success. To him, winning championships mattered way more than selling vehicles.
But as Ferrari started racking up wins in Formula One and endurance racing, something psychological shifted in the market. Suddenly, owning a Ferrari wasn't just about driving a fast machine. It meant owning a piece of motorsport history. Customers were no longer purchasing transportation. They were buying emotion, passion, prestige, and identity. And this emotional connection, it became their greatest competitive advantage, and basically the foundation for everything that followed.
Section 2. The Psychology of Scarcity.
During the second half of the 20th century, Ferrari watched closely as other luxury manufacturers aggressively expanded. Their competitors were introducing cheaper products, opening up more dealerships, and rushing into new customer segments. And sure, initially, their revenues absolutely soared, but soon the magic died. Products that once felt rare and special were suddenly common, parked outside of every ordinary shopping mall. Ferrari spotted this trap right away, and they learned a vital lesson about human psychology.
And that brings us to this fascinating economic concept called Veblen goods, which proves that in the luxury sector, standard supply and demand rules just get thrown out the window. For normal products, if you raise the price, demand naturally drops. But for Veblen goods, desirability actually increases as the price rises. The high price isn't a barrier, it's the attraction. It signals status. Ferrari realized that luxury follows completely different psychological rules, where the scarcity itself is exactly what creates the value.
Ferrari understood something even deeper about this psychology, too. Scarcity isn't just about slapping a high price tag on something. It's about availability. They realized that if everyone could just go out and own a Ferrari tomorrow, the brand would instantly lose its prestige. They adopted this brilliant mindset. Exclusivity isn't created after a purchase, it's created before one. Because of this, they've intentionally kept supply below demand for decades. Those massive waiting lists aren't a manufacturing problem. They are proof the psychology is working perfectly. Now, this led to a subtle but massive psychological shift in their buyers. Soon, people stopped asking if they could afford a Ferrari and started wondering if Ferrari would even allow them to buy one. I mean, money alone isn't enough. Access is the true luxury here. Buyers actually have to clear intentional hurdles, things like building long-term dealership relationships or establishing an extensive purchasing history. You essentially have to prove your loyalty just to be invited to give them your money. They aren't just selling cars, they are gatekeeping a highly exclusive community of lifelong collectors.
This strict gatekeeping creates a brilliant, self-reinforcing scarcity cycle. Think of it like a flywheel. It starts with controlled production, which protects the rarity. Because they're so incredibly rare, demand for used models remains super strong, driving up resale value. In fact, they often appreciate dramatically over time. Collectors know this rarity protects their investment. That confidence then encourages even more buyers, which strengthens demand further, and that higher demand is exactly what allows Ferrari to remain so incredibly selective. Every single decision supports the next in a perfect loop.
Section 3. Protecting the brand. The SUV test.
Look, it's really easy to preach about scarcity until billions of dollars are suddenly sitting right there on the table. For years, the luxury SUV market was absolutely exploding. Major competitors, we're talking Porsche, Lamborghini, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, were raking in billions by rushing into this new segment. The automotive industry constantly chases trends, hoping to capture every possible customer. Analysts were practically begging Ferrari to build an SUV, insisting they were leaving literal mountains of cash on the table.
But Ferrari resisted. A lot of purists and enthusiasts believed an SUV would completely destroy Ferrari's racing identity. But then, after years of really careful planning, studying the market, and fiercely protecting the brand, Ferrari finally introduced the Purosangue SUV. It shocked a lot of people. Many thought Ferrari was finally caving, abandoning their strict principles to chase mass-market volume just like everyone else.
But here's the kicker. They maintained their strict discipline. Executives quickly came out and clarified that production would remain tightly limited. Despite absolutely overwhelming demand for the Purosangue, Ferrari outright refused to let the SUV dominate their total production output. The underlying philosophy never changed. They managed to enter an incredibly profitable market without sacrificing 1 ounce of their exclusivity. That kind of balance requires a level of psychological discipline most businesses simply do not possess.
Which brings us to Section 4, the power of restraint.
While Wall Street pressures most public companies for constant quarterly growth and expanding unit sales, Ferrari is playing a completely different game. They focus entirely on maximizing the value of the cars they do choose to build. They willingly sacrifice short-term profits to preserve decades of prestige. This distinction right here is exactly why Ferrari consistently earns profit margins that mass-market automakers can literally only dream about.
And why are customers willing to pay those massive margins? Because they aren't just buying a car. They are investing in unmatched craftsmanship, legendary Italian engineering, and a century of racing heritage. Every Formula One victory and racing innovation strengthens the brand. A new manufacturer might be able to build a fast car, but they cannot manufacture history or trust overnight. Ferrari accumulated those assets one disciplined decision at a time.
Now, they certainly face new challenges ahead. The future brings electric vehicles, strict emissions regulations, and totally changing consumer habits. If they move too slowly, competitors gain ground. Move too quickly, and that carefully protected brand equity gets damaged. But as they navigate these challenges patiently and deliberately, they use this one guiding question for every choice they make. Will this decision make Ferrari more desirable 20 years from now? If the answer is no, they walk away.
That is such an extraordinary mindset in an era obsessed with rapid growth. They firmly believe that long-term success isn't about selling as much as possible right now. Success comes from making people want what they cannot easily have. Their greatest competitive advantage isn't the loudest engine or the fastest acceleration, it's restraint. It's the willingness to leave money on the table today so that tomorrow's products are exponentially more valuable.
In business, saying yes often feels like progress. We all want to do more. But Ferrari proves that sometimes the absolute smartest decision is knowing exactly when to say no. So, I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. In a world totally obsessed with making more, what could you achieve by intentionally choosing to make less? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.